from this experience. I just felt that it was a terrible tragedy.
Doris Day was once one of the biggest stars in Hollywood, loved for her voice, her films, and her bright public image. But behind that success was a life filled with personal struggles, hidden pain, and decisions she didn't even know were being made for her. And even after she fought to rebuild everything, the final chapter of her life holds a truth that many still find heartbreaking. Join us as we uncover the untold story behind Doris Day's rise, betrayal, and final years. The Girl with Big Dreams. Doris Day was born as Doris Mary Kappelhoff on April 3, 1922, in Cincinnati, Ohio. From the very beginning, there was a sense that something special was expected of her. Her parents gave her the name Doris after a silent film actress, which already tied her identity to the world of entertainment. She grew up in a German-American household where music was not just a hobby, but a part of everyday life. Her father, Wilhelm, was deeply involved in music. He worked as a music teacher, directed a church choir, and played the organ at their local Catholic church. This meant Doris was constantly surrounded by melodies, rehearsals, and performances. Her mother, Alma, came from a financially stable family that owned a pretzel business. While she was not a performer herself, she strongly supported Doris's interests and encouraged her to pursue her talents. Together, her parents created an environment where creativity and discipline went hand in hand. As a child, Doris was not focused on singing. Her biggest dream was to become a professional dancer. She took dance and acrobatics classes and spent hours practicing. She admired Ginger Rogers and wanted to follow in her footsteps. Doris studied her performances closely and tried to copy her style. Dancing was not just something she enjoyed, she truly believed it would be her future career. By her teenage years, Doris had already started taking steps toward show business. She teamed up with a partner named Jerry Doherty, and together they formed a dance act called Doris and Jerry. They performed at local venues in Cincinnati, including some of the city's most popular spots. Their performances gained attention, and it became clear that Doris had real potential. She was confident on stage and comfortable performing in front of crowds. Things began moving quickly after that. By 1937, while still very young, Doris and her partner were offered a 5-year contract that would take them to Hollywood. For someone her age, this was a huge opportunity. Everything she had worked for seemed to be falling into place. She was preparing to leave Cincinnati and start a new life in the entertainment industry. At that point, her future looked clear and promising, but everything was about to change in a way she never expected. The night everything broke. Everything changed for Doris Day on the night of October 13, 1937. She was just a teenager, full of excitement about her future, and on her way to a farewell party before leaving for Hollywood. It was supposed to be the start of a new chapter. But during the drive, the car she was in collided with a freight train. The crash was sudden and devastating, and it would alter the direction of her life completely. Doris suffered a serious injury to her right leg. The damage was severe, and doctors had to act quickly. Her leg was shattered, and the recovery process would be long and painful. For someone who had spent years training as a dancer, this was crushing news. Dancing had been her biggest dream, and now it was gone. The doctors made it clear that she would never be able to pursue a professional dance career again. The physical pain was only part of the struggle. Doris was forced to stay in bed for several months, followed by more than a year with her leg in a cast. She could not move freely, could not practice, and could not perform. Her life, which had been full of activity and purpose, suddenly became still. The excitement of Hollywood and her dance career was replaced with uncertainty and frustration. As she tried to cope with her situation, another heartbreaking event made things even worse. Her beloved dog, Tiny, was hit by a car and died during her recovery. This loss deeply affected her. Tiny had been a source of comfort, especially during such a difficult time. Losing her dog added to her sadness and made her feel even more alone. But during this period of isolation, something unexpected began to happen. With so much time spent resting, Doris started listening to the radio more often. She began singing along to the songs she heard. Slowly, she realized that her voice had a unique quality. She found comfort in singing, and it gave her something to focus on when everything else felt uncertain. Her mother noticed this change and encouraged her to take it seriously. She arranged for Doris to receive singing lessons, which would soon open a new path for her. What started as a way to pass time during recovery began to turn into something much bigger. Her dreams had been broken, but something new was quietly starting to take their place. From hospital bed to radio stardom. After months of recovery, Doris Day began to take singing seriously. What started as a way to pass time slowly became a clear new direction. Her mother played a big role in this shift. She arranged for Doris to train with a vocal coach named Grace Rain at WLW Radio in Cincinnati. From the very first lessons, it was clear that Doris had natural talent. Grace Rain was so impressed that she offered her extra lessons at no additional cost. She believed Doris had real potential and wanted to help her improve quickly. Doris worked hard during this time. She listened carefully, practiced daily, and stayed focused on learning. Within a year, her efforts started to pay off. She began getting small opportunities to sing on WLW radio programs. One of her early appearances was on a show called Carlin's Carnival. These radio performances helped her gain confidence and introduced her voice to a wider audience. Soon after, Doris started performing in local nightclubs. One of the places she sang at was the Shanghai Inn in Cincinnati. These shows were important because they gave her real stage experience. She had to perform in front of live audiences, handle pressure, and keep improving. It was not always easy, but she stayed committed. Her big break came when bandleader Barney Rapp heard her singing on the radio. He had already auditioned many singers, but had not found the right fit. When he heard Doris, he immediately took notice. He invited her to audition, and she impressed him right away. However, he had one concern. Her last name, Kappelhoff, was too long and difficult to promote. In 1939, she officially became Doris Day. The new name was shorter, easier to remember, and better suited for show business. At first, she wasn't completely sure about the change, but she accepted it and moved forward. Even with this opportunity, life was not glamorous right away. Doris earned very little money in the beginning, sometimes as low as $25 a week. She had to work long hours, travel, and perform regularly. There were no shortcuts. She built her career step by step through effort and discipline. Her voice was opening doors, but her personal life was about to become far more complicated. Fame rises. As Doris Day continued to build her career, her name slowly started gaining attention in the music world. She performed with several well-known bands, including those led by Bob Crosby and later Les Brown. Working with these groups helped her grow as a performer and reach larger audiences. She was no longer just a local talent. She was becoming part of the national music scene. Her major breakthrough came in 1945 with the song Sentimental Journey. The track became a huge success and quickly climbed to the top of the charts. It connected deeply with people, especially soldiers during World War II who were longing to return home. The song's popularity made Doris a household name almost overnight. Her voice was now recognized across the country, and her career seemed to be moving in the right direction. But while her professional life was rising, her personal life was taking a very different turn. At just 19 years old, Doris married a trombonist named Al Jordan. From the outside, it may have looked like a normal relationship, but problems started almost immediately. Jordan struggled with mental health issues, and his behavior became increasingly unstable. The marriage quickly turned abusive. Doris faced physical and emotional harm, often living in fear of what might happen next. Small situations could trigger violent reactions. This created a constant sense of tension in their home. Despite her growing fame, she was dealing with serious challenges behind closed doors. Things became even more difficult when Doris became pregnant. Instead of improving, Jordan's behavior became more dangerous. He pressured her to end the pregnancy, and when she refused, the situation escalated. Doris had to protect herself and her unborn child while dealing with ongoing abuse. It was a frightening and stressful time in her life. On February 8, 1942, she gave birth to her son, Terry Melcher. Becoming a mother gave her a new sense of purpose. Her focus shifted toward keeping her child safe and building a better future. After years of suffering, she finally made the decision to leave the marriage. In 1943, she divorced Jordan and took a step toward rebuilding her life. Her career was gaining strength, but her search for stability and happiness was far from over. Love, success, and repeating patterns. After escaping a painful first marriage, Doris Day tried to move forward and rebuild her personal life. In 1946, she married George Weidler, hoping this relationship would bring stability and support. At first, things seemed promising. Weidler was part of the music world, so it appeared they might understand each other's careers better. However, the problems started to surface not long after the wedding. Weidler struggled with Doris's rising fame. As her career continued to grow, his feelings toward her success became complicated. There was jealousy, tension, and reports of infidelity. Instead of supporting her, he often felt overshadowed by her popularity. This created distance between them. Their relationship became strained, with frequent disagreements and emotional stress. At the same time, Doris was balancing her role as a mother and a performer. She was working hard to maintain her career while raising her young son. The lack of stability at home made things even more difficult. Eventually, the marriage could not survive the pressure. By 1949, Doris and Weidler divorced. Although the relationship ended, it left behind emotional effects that stayed with her. She had now experienced 2 difficult marriages, both marked by conflict and disappointment. Despite these challenges, her career was reaching new heights. Doris continued recording hit songs that performed well on the charts. She built a strong reputation as one of the top female vocalists of her time. Her voice was widely recognized, and her fan base kept growing. Songs like "My Dreams Are Getting Better" all the time helped strengthen her position in the music industry. Around this time, a new opportunity appeared that would change her career once again. Songwriters Jewel Stein and Sammy Cahn were impressed by her singing and believed she had the potential to succeed in films. They recommended her for a role in the movie Romance on the High Seas. This was a big step, as Doris had no formal acting experience. When she auditioned, she was honest about her lack of training, but her natural presence stood out. Director Michael Curtis saw something special in her and decided to give her the role. The film became her Hollywood debut, and it marked the beginning of a successful acting career alongside her music. Her professional life was stronger than ever, but her personal life was about to take another unexpected turn. Hollywood's golden star. By the early 1950s, Doris Day had fully established herself as a major Hollywood star. Her transition from music to film was not just successful, it was fast and consistent. She starred in a series of popular movies that showed her range as a performer. One of her most loved roles came in Calamity Jane, where she played a lively and confident character. The film connected well with audiences, and Doris later said it was one of her personal favorites. She continued to prove her talent with more serious roles as well. In Love Me or Leave Me, she played singer Ruth Etting, showing a deeper and more emotional side of her acting. Critics responded positively, and many considered it one of her strongest performances. This role helped her gain greater respect in Hollywood, showing that she was more than just a cheerful singer on screen. Her success continued when she worked with famous director Alfred Hitchcock in the film The Man Who Knew Too Much. In this movie, she performed the song Que Sera, Sera, which became one of the most recognized songs of her career. The song won an Academy Award and stayed with her for the rest of her life as her signature tune. It further strengthened her image as a wholesome and comforting presence in entertainment. At this point, Doris Day was not just popular. She was one of the top box office stars in America. Her films were successful, her songs were widely played, and audiences trusted her image. That image, however, was carefully managed behind the scenes. She was often presented as the girl next door, someone kind, simple, and relatable. While this helped her career, it also limited the types of roles she was allowed to take. A big part of this control came from her third husband, Martin Melcher, whom she married in 1951. Melcher also acted as her manager and played a major role in shaping her career decisions. He was very protective of her public image and often turned down roles that he believed did not fit her wholesome reputation. Even when Doris herself was open to trying something different, his influence usually guided the final decision. While her career looked perfect from the outside, she was not fully in control of her own choices. And behind that controlled image, decisions were being made that would later have serious consequences. The marriage that seemed perfect. In 1951, Doris Day married film producer and manager Martin Melcher. After 2 difficult marriages, this one looked different from the start. Melcher appeared calm, organized, and focused on helping her career grow. For Doris, who had already experienced instability and emotional stress in her personal life, this relationship seemed to offer something she had not had before: structure and stability. Unlike her earlier relationships, this marriage brought a sense of order into her daily life. Melcher took charge of many business decisions and helped manage her professional schedule. He also formally adopted her son, Terry Melcher, which helped create the feeling of a complete family unit. On the surface, it looked like everything was finally coming together for her. She was a successful actress, a respected singer, and now part of what seemed like a stable home life. During the 1950s and early 1960s, Doris Day reached the peak of her film career. She became one of the biggest box office stars in Hollywood. Movies like romantic comedies and musicals made her one of the most reliable names in the industry. Between 1960 and 1964, she was consistently ranked as one of the top female box office draws in the United States. Audiences trusted her image, and studios depended on her success. Her popularity during this period was massive. Films such as Pillow Talk and others in the same style performed extremely well. She became known for her clean, upbeat screen presence, which made her appealing to a wide audience. This image helped her maintain long-term success in a competitive industry. She was one of the few stars who could consistently guarantee strong ticket sales. However, behind this success, important decisions were being made without her full awareness. Martin Melcher controlled many aspects of her business affairs, including contracts and financial arrangements. Doris trusted him completely and believed he was managing everything in her best interest. She did not closely monitor the details of her finances, relying instead on his guidance. Over time, unknown to her, financial decisions were being made that would later have serious consequences. Contracts were signed, commitments were made, and money was handled in ways she did not fully understand. While her public life showed success and stability, her private financial situation was becoming more complicated. At this stage, everything in her life seemed secure. She had fame, family, and trust in her marriage. But the reality behind the scenes was slowly moving in a very different direction, setting the stage for a major shock that would come later. The betrayal that destroyed her fortune. In 1968, everything in Doris Day's life changed in a single moment. Her husband, Martin Melcher, died suddenly. For Doris, this was already a painful emotional loss. She had trusted him deeply for years, both in her personal life and in managing her career. She believed he had taken care of her finances and protected her future. But after his death, the truth began to come out. Soon after, Doris discovered something she never expected. Melcher and his business partner, Jerome Rosenthal, had mismanaged her money for years. Contracts had been signed without her full understanding, and financial decisions had been made behind her back. She had believed she was secure, but the reality was very different. Doris had expected to inherit a fortune of around $23 million. Instead, she was shocked to learn that she was actually in debt around $400,000. The difference was enormous, and it left her stunned. She had worked for decades, starred in major films, and built a successful career, but most of her earnings were gone or tied up in failed deals and poor financial management. The emotional impact was immediate and severe. Doris was grieving her husband, but at the same time, she was dealing with betrayal on a deep level. The person she trusted most had left her in a financial crisis without her knowledge. It was difficult for her to process both the personal loss and the financial shock at the same time. The stress also affected her physically. She later described feeling overwhelmed and unwell during this period. The pressure of the situation, combined with grief, made it hard for her to think clearly or plan ahead. She suddenly had to face not only emotional pain, but also a major financial responsibility she never expected. On top of everything else, she discovered something else troubling. Melcher had signed her into a television contract without her clear approval. This meant she was legally tied to a project she had not chosen willingly. Even though she was struggling emotionally and financially, she was required to fulfill the agreement. This led to the creation of the Doris Day Show, a television series that began in 1968. At the time, she did not feel ready to return to work, but she had no real choice. The contract forced her back into the spotlight during one of the most difficult periods of her life. Despite everything, Doris eventually found a way to keep going, but the betrayal had already changed her life in a permanent way. What she thought was security had turned into a struggle for survival. And now she had to decide how to rebuild everything from the ground up: lawsuits and survival. After discovering the shocking financial situation left behind by her late husband, Doris Day made a decision that changed the direction of her life again. Instead of accepting the loss quietly, she chose to fight back. One of the main targets of her legal battle was Jerome Rosenthal, who had been involved in managing her finances alongside her husband, Martin Melcher. Doris filed a lawsuit accusing Rosenthal of fraud and financial mismanagement. The case was not simple. It involved years of financial records, contracts, and business decisions that had been made without her full understanding. She had to go through detailed legal processes while also dealing with personal grief and stress. It was a difficult period where she had to stay strong even when she felt exhausted. In 1974, the court ruled in her favor. She was awarded a judgment of $22.8 million. This was a major victory and confirmed that serious financial wrongdoing had taken place. However, the legal process did not end there. The case continued for several more years, with appeals and negotiations slowing down the final outcome. Eventually, she settled for a smaller amount, around $6 million, after insurance payments and legal agreements were finalized. While the legal battle was ongoing, Doris had to find a way to support herself. This led her back to television through a project she had not originally planned to do. The Doris Day Show became an important financial lifeline for her. The show premiered in 1968 and ran for several years. It helped her earn steady income during a time when she was still recovering from both emotional and financial damage. Returning to work was not easy for her. She was still grieving the loss of her husband and dealing with the stress of the financial situation. There were moments when she felt overwhelmed and unsure if she could continue. However, she pushed forward because she needed stability, both for herself and her future. The show required her to be on set regularly, memorize scripts, and perform in front of cameras again. Even though she had years of experience, this return felt different. It was not just about career success anymore. It was about survival and rebuilding her life, step by step. Over time, her efforts began to pay off. The steady income from the show and the settlement from the lawsuit helped her regain financial stability. She was able to recover from the debt and rebuild a sense of control over her life. Doris Day's return to work showed her determination to move forward, even when everything around her had fallen apart. But her next chapter would not be about fame or money. It would be about something far more personal: final years. After years in the public eye, Doris Day slowly stepped away from Hollywood. She was no longer interested in fame, interviews, or the busy pace of the entertainment industry. Instead, she chose a quieter life where she could focus on what mattered most to her personally. This shift was not sudden, but a natural change after decades of work, pressure, and public attention. One of the most important parts of her later life was her deep love for animals. In 1978, she founded the Doris Day Animal League. This group focused on protecting animals and promoting responsible care, especially spaying and neutering to reduce overpopulation. It also worked against cruelty toward animals and supported stronger animal protection laws. This was not just a side interest for her, it became one of her main life goals. Her commitment to animal welfare grew stronger over time. She supported shelters, raised awareness, and used her name to bring attention to animal protection causes. Even though she had left the film industry, she remained active in this work. For her, it was a way to give back and use her influence for something she deeply believed in. Many people who knew her in this period said she was most at peace when working with animals. Doris chose to live a private and simple life in Carmel Valley, California. She stayed away from Hollywood events and rarely appeared in public. Her home became a quiet place where she could enjoy privacy and focus on her interests. She valued peace and simplicity after many years of intense public attention and personal challenges. This lifestyle allowed her to live on her own terms without outside pressure. Even though she was no longer active in films or music, her earlier work continued to be remembered and appreciated. However, she herself preferred a calm life rather than revisiting her past fame. On May 13, 2019, Doris Day passed away at the age of 97 after developing pneumonia. Her death marked the end of a long and complex life. She had experienced major success in music and film, faced personal struggles, endured financial betrayal, and rebuilt her life more than once. In her final years, she found peace in privacy and in her dedication to animals. Her story is not just about fame or Hollywood success. It is also about resilience through difficult marriages, financial loss, and personal hardship. She lived through both high achievements and painful setbacks, yet continued moving forward. In the end, her life showed strength, change, and quiet determination in ways that went far beyond her screen image. She left behind a legacy shaped not only by stardom, but also by everything she endured behind it. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the real lives behind Hollywood legends.